Stephanie, Christy, happy holidays to you.
Hello, Mr. Lamb. Happy holidays.
So good to see you. I'm here in California where it's cool but not cold, not
I
far from USC, which is your alma mater. And where are you today?
I am in southeastern Michigan, in Northville, Michigan, and I'm looking at the trees and being outside, and I'm like, oh, it looks
The
beautiful.
chickens report. Uh, uh, the
Yeah,
chickens
yeah,
that it's fair to warmer this afternoon. It's going to be 80, 81 today. So
beautiful.
So may you stay warm and healthy during the holiday season. It's so good to see you. One of the nation's most talented interventionists. You're a PhD, so you're a doctor of social work. Is that right, Stephanie?
Correct.
May I call you Doctor
You
Stephanie?
may call me anything as long as it's kind.
Uh, Such a funny business that we're in, and I wondered. I know some of your story and some of your stories, but I'm wondering what led you to get into intervention. It's like walking toward the wreck instead of away from the wreck, which I think most people are, you know, poised to run away from the wreck, not toward it.
Yes, well, I think my own intervention, and if I'm going to be completely honest, I think it was my own kind of resentments and, yeah, concerns about the way I was intervened upon, right?
Ah,
So yes, the concept was, fantastic in the long run that I got help. So there were really some positive aspects of that. I wanted to help others, but I also saw some of the way the helpers could could be toxic as well. So
mm.
I wanted to try to do better for others, I guess.
Hearing that reminds me of an intervention that some people that watch this will have seen. It was an intervention on TV, A&E's intervention that they don't air anymore. They aired it once, but the interventionist put on an FBI jacket and portrayed herself as an interventionist, and then or portrayed herself as an FBI agent, and then ran down the street after the person, and they weren't and never were and aren't an FBI agent, but you know, I think it goes to the notion people get confused around intervention because the notion is we have to trick them to help them. They wouldn't possibly come to the table, would they? But your experience in the field, I know because we're both believers in a different sort of intervention, is different, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there's a lot of misconception out there of,
Mm,
yes, that it's got to be, a shock and it's got to be deceptive and it has to be um, unkind or unpleasant. But really, the way I know you do intervention as well, it's a loving process. That doesn't mean we
mm,
don't have boundaries, but it's
right.
loving, it's kind, you know it's tailored to make the person believe that treatment is going to make them better. The goal is not just to get a person into treatment, but into long-term recovery, and not be in treatment counting the days or trying to
Viewing it like prison.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's and a lot of people ask me, well, it's got to be so hard to get people into treatment. And it's really, I don't think that it's that hard to get people to go to treatment. I think it's hard to get them to stay in treatment and hard
Yes.
to, and I don't even know if hard's the right word, is a challenge, I guess, to get
Mm.
the support system so that the person wants to stay in recovery after treatment.
I remember I had started doing interventions and had trained and was working in the field, and I was a couple of years in recovery myself, and I found the surprise intervention was so taxing and traumatizing and anxiety producing that I had decided, Stephanie, that it wasn't for me, and I was going to do one last one that I had scheduled, and I remember going to a hotel middle of the night, driving back to New York City and going to bed so sick and just physically, I just didn't feel good about it. Um, and then I was introduced to the work of Dr. Landau and James Garrett and invitational intervention. It really, it, it became a real detour. I thought I was going left into some other field. And then I went right and followed this, which is now, my calling now. I just love it. But did you know from the start, because of your own experience in being intervened on, that there had to be a better way?
Yes, because it's interesting, the things that I think work with intervention, right? The
Mm,
influence of the group of people that
mm,
come together, and sometimes let's not forget that people that suffer from addiction respond to pain too. Sometimes it is the leverage, and I don't mean the threats or consequences attached, but I know those, knew those for me, could have been presented in a different way. It was, um, yes, it was the influence would have been enough for me. That the consequences didn't have to
mm.
be verbalized, and they didn't have to be verbalized the way they were to get me to do what I did. But yes, I knew there had to be a different way.
How do you find you best influence the participants, the intervention team members, to not roll straight to consequences, to not roll straight to bottom lines and, you do this or else?
Yeah, I do a very thorough, training. I do a very thorough rehearsal with them the day before the intervention. But before we even get to that point, I facilitated an intervention in the summer. I think we had three, maybe even four rehearsals.
Mm,
And there people were not ready, they wanted to go off the cuff. And
ah,
and I for me, and I'm a big believer in things being organic, but I'm also a big believer in being prepared so that things
mm,
can be organic, right? So I just saw that they weren't prepared. The family wasn't prepared. They weren't coming in with love. And I just had to say, this is okay. It's okay that you're not ready. We just have to kind of keep going until you are ready, right?
mm.
And so eventually it was it was one of the most beautiful interventions. In fact, I barely said one word during it. They did such a
Ah,
beautiful job. Yeah. And
I believe you. I think a lot of people hear that and they think, I could never do that. I'm not sure that you're telling me the truth. Are you just saying that so I'll show up? But
right.
we have experience in doing it so many times that I'm curious, do you, or maybe a better way to ask, to what extent do you still get nervous?
That's a great question. Um, I think I think if I'm not nervous, I have my little kind of prayer and meditation
Mm,
ritual. I like to go to the spot wherever it is by
mm,
myself, kind of do my little centering thing. If I'm not feeling nervous, I'm like, please put me, I ask my higher power to put me in a position to make sure that because sometimes I think a little nervousness is good,
uh,
right? I don't want to be so relaxed that I'm at, that, yes, I guess I ask to be guided still to this day. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
mm,
I am sometimes, yeah, I get nervous, and sometimes it's more of, I pray to be centered, focused, and present in the moment so that I can,
mm.
yes, that
So you can
I,
show up in your best way.
yeah.
I think if I think of what I pray for, I I utter something to the universe around might I be useful and not forget people's fucking names. The hardest part for me often is remembering the participants' names because when I have a group of 10 or 12, I generally don't forget the identified loved one's name, but we all have the things that cause us anxiety in the room. But that's the name is the big thing for me, people's names.
Yes. No, that's funny. No, I've gotten better with that with names. Like that's my like first thing I write down and I like go, I may like yeah, no, I hear you. Yes. I think for me it's yes, being like I said, present and so that if I need to do redirecting or anything that I'm just yes, that I'm there and yeah.
Present, connecting, and
Yeah.
generous, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think the world of you. You're one of my favorite people to call when I have a referral, because I know that family is going to be in such good hands with you. So I appreciate you making time to show up and talk with me today, and just describe what it used to be like when you were suffering, and then you described suffering in the intervention, and then came this idea of maybe I can do something different and better with my life, and maybe it would start with making interventions. It seems so weird to somebody
Yeah.
that's not in it. I
Yeah.
get it. I'm so glad you're my friend and colleague.
Oh, me too. Me too. I'm honored to be here, and I think the same of you. Thank you for your kind words. Yeah.